All right, this is our rotted piece. We can see it back there. If you don't want to be on YouTube, you better duck down. So we have Phylon all in the front. That's a big window right there. So that's all we do is just obviously pull out the Phylon right now. And you can see, you know, they've got it all wood framed in there, which is a lot what I do. But obviously the water got in there and just rotted everything out. So, and the only difference, you know, we're going to make this, tighten up this radius a lot better. They've got these strips going across. Okay, but we're going to fill them all in with foam. That'll add a lot more strength to it. So, and then we'll foam all these in here too. There's no insulation in it. That's just the way it was. So we're going to tighten it up a little bit for sure. But this is, I think this is like a 90, I think he said it was like a 98 or 99. I don't know. You can tell by the headlights on here. I think they started that in 97. So it was something like that, 98. It's not a 2000, put it that way. So we'll get all these windows out, and you can tell by these windows, boy, they're kind of old. So that style is. So, but otherwise, I mean, the inside's really nice, and you got a really good deal on it, I guess. And this is all it needs, this and the roof. And it doesn't matter if you bought a newer one. The milos are really low, so it's got good tires on it. So you got a pretty good deal on it. But even if you bought another one, a newer one or whatever, still gonna have to put a roof on it. They're all junk. So we're gonna start dismantling all this, and then I'll show you the roof up there in a minute. But you can just see all the rot, all the water got in. And right across the top, there's a termination bar. Some people call it flat stock, but it's just a flat piece of metal. In the commercial roof industry, that's a termination bar, because that's where the roof terminates. So it also doesn't have gutters on the side. We're gonna get gutters on it. But this piece going across, that pretty much is what has failed. That, and you can see around the window, all that water just went down, obviously rotted that out. I don't know how bad that bunk is and how much water soaked into it, but just going by from what I can see underneath this, it looks pretty bad. So we'll see. You can just see how bad that is in there. And even the top there, it's all punky now. That's how rotted it is. It's all punky. That's what I call punky. I think that's a technical construction term. Punky. This one here, you can see it's still, like, there it goes. It's actually still wet. It's actually still wet. And we've had that in our other bay for about 3 months. So we've got another building we use for storage where they're really bad and they can't stay out in the weather. I don't want to see them come to the point where we got to do extra work just because there's more rain getting on it. So we offer that where folks come in. So if you've got one that you're gonna thinking about bringing in, you're like, well, it leaks now, I don't want it sitting out in their yard for wherever, we've got another building. As long as we get a heads up notice, typically we can make some room in there. All right, well, let's get working on it. Wow, that is one dark roof. I've never seen a roof that black. Actually, one time I did, and it's up on our YouTube channel. It says tar and gravel roof, and somebody actually put a modified roof membrane, which is used for like your back porch, put it on a coach, and that was a harder show. But anyhow, you can see how bad this one is. This is why we don't do coatings. No matter how much you wash this is oxidized crazy bad, and no matter how many times you wash this will keep coming back. You could scrub it back and it'll come right back. So looks like we got some problems with some vents right here. Boy, oh boy, all that. What they want you to do is just put more on. But look at here, doesn't stick. I mean, this is old, but it shouldn't be doing all this. I mean, you use a quality caulking, and the reason why they want you to do that, so all this is all fractured, and that's why they want you to keep applying more. This type of lens anyways doesn't have a flange. It just kind of comes down like a lid on maybe like a peanut butter jar or something. It's pretty much like that. And it's really hard to seal all that. So we'll see how bad this roof is. Although, I mean, just knocking on it doesn't sound like it's rotted out, so that's a plus. But, I mean, you can just see how bad. I mean, water has to have been gotten in there somehow. So, it's got some good camber. It looks like the camber in the back is sharper than the camber in the front, slightly anyways. But the RV industry, what they want you to do is just keep putting more on. That's why I joke and I say, hey, who's ever putting more on is a moron. There's something wrong with that. If you have a good quality caulking, you shouldn't have all those issues with it. failing within 3 or 4 months. They know that it fails in 3 to 4 months, but they don't care, and they won't reformulate it because it's their cash cow. That's what it is. It is their cash cow. You figure how many coaches are out here on the road, and you're flipping, I think the last time was flipping about $14, $15 for a tube of that stuff? Really? That is crazy. You can get a much better product for $14, $15 a tube than that. Now, a lot of your commercial companies, people, I know they're going to probably hit the channel up and say, well, if you don't use that, what do you use? A lot of these commercial manufacturers like GAF, Carlisle, Firestone, they make EPDM rubber roofs. Okay, well actually GAF does not. They're the only ones that don't. But anyhow, those commercial manufacturers also have what's a lap sealant. So, but things still have to be prepped and everything for it to bond right. But you know, you could find a local supply house, or run down there and get some lap sealant if you wanted to. But we'll be jerking this antenna out. If you have one of these antennas on here, if you do, water will come down this wire and go right through that boot, and then it'll get down inside there. There is some booger in there, so you may want to add a little more booger in that, because it doesn't take very much. You can see just that little bit on that side. So you probably want to load that up and then squish it down, and hopefully you get enough in there that'll squish out from the top up here. So, but yeah, this is a mess. This will probably peel up pretty easy though. That's my guess. So, and I'm surprised, like I said, the whole thing, you're looking at the side, I haven't seen any delamination. The inside's pretty decent. And you know, you look at some of these roofs and you go, how could it be not getting destroyed? But I think this was parked under or in a barn or something like that. And I don't know, maybe some of the heat did all this. But gonna have to put some gutters on here. There's no gutters on it. You want that water away. You want it off the coach. So we'll do that. This awning has seen, fabric has seen better days. Feels dry. You can see a rip right here. And also it doesn't have any slide outs, so that's a plus. So we're gonna start tearing it apart. The worst part, you just get all this, look at that. That's just from walking around. So I think I get this. I gotta see, you know, I'm gonna recommend they cut this here, peel this piece up, then get on the roof and work it that way. So they just jump up here and start cutting it, or they're gonna get that stuff all over their clothes or get in the car. So we make all these custom curbs, and if you've watched any of our other videos, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're new to it, we're gonna raise the air conditioner up, we're gonna raise this vent up, we're gonna raise the vents, we're gonna raise those up, and we get them off the roof line. That's the way a flat roof or a low slope roof functions. You have to put curbs under them, and up underneath this air conditioner is just a foam gasket, and you get a lot of things that and elements that, you know, come across the roof and get trapped underneath there, like pollen, dirt, twigs, and things like that, and it dries that gasket out. That gasket, they say you should replace it every 2 years, but that being said, all that debris will dry it out, and then you'll start getting some leaks, and you may have your coach, you may look at it and it may look like that air conditioner is settling down. We've done quite a few that have had some issues where the air conditioner is about 1.5 inches lower than the roof line. So they that's the reason, that's one of the other advantages to having them elevated up on a curb. So we're prepping a piece over here. That's what all that racket is, for a slide out floor. So, all right, well, I'm getting ran out of here. This is our Jambore, I'll tell you. All right, here's our Jambore. Look at the mess this roofing makes. We've got a little bit of delamination, like that little piece right there. Very little. There's not any rot on here that I can see. But we're still gonna deck over this thing because the decking itself is just disgusting. So I wanna make sure I get a good bond for the roofing, right? So we'll clean all this mess up. At least get it clean enough to bond. And then we'll get a new piece laminated to it. And we'll be ready to rock and roll. Go around the other side. It's got some pretty good camber to it. So working on my camera skills. I'm going to a YouTube camera holding class. People say I make them seasick.
So the video could probably be sponsored by Jambore. You know, take a couple of those before you watch my videos, make you feel better. All right, well, this is what we got. Let's get her going. Not very much. Like I said, there's no D-lam at all. I'm actually surprised. Like it's solid. Just got that little piece there. We'll peel that. A couple little flaky spots, and we're gonna redeck this thing. This is our platform. So we got it all framed out. Then all of this on the other side, because we had to flip it and fill it with foam, is all screwed together. I got pocket screws that go in here and in there, so they're all screwed together. Obviously all glued together too. Then once we put this foam in, once I get the foam in, then I put this other foam adhesive in there. So these pieces, the foam pieces, as I showed, are all adhered down. We use a spray adhesive for that. And then we put this other foam in here. And that is a foam adhesive that'll expand and it'll glue everything else together. So it's all one component. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll frame these out, then they'll glue these down to the luan, which is on the other side. The luan's on this other side here. We got a sheet right here we're gonna put on. And they don't glue it to the frame. So everything needs to be glued together. That's the way it's gonna function better. It's gonna function better that way. So now we're gonna adhere this onto this other piece. Then we just laminate it with the Phylon, and then probably put a piece of roofing on the interior or something. Alrighty, so we're getting some glue on the driver's side. Passenger side's already been done. Got our strips on there. Didn't really need to put them on there. Not on this roof here, but one of the guys is like, hey, maybe we should put them on there. So I said, yeah, whatever. This is just a protective strip that goes on the edge. And it protects this right here, this sharp bit of Phylon from the actual roof deck, so it doesn't cause it to chafe on the corner, because we got to pull this over. So that's what that's all about. So we're just getting the glue on it now, and then we'll roll it over and we can start cutting the holes. And we've got most everything done for the front. All the platform's done, all that's done. So we just got to get some siding on it and we'll get it plopped up here.
Jambore update.
We've got the platform. We got that in. Got the radius on there. Obviously that front piece. We omitted the window. Get that top radius on. And we got the wires run for the lights. So now we're going to wrap it with sheet metal. Then Phylon. Alright, we're done with our Jambore. You can see we got the bunk all together. Put some LED lights on the top right there. So we get this all back together. And now we'll go show you the roof. Looks nice going up these stairs. Alright, this is us right here. We're done. So we put new gutters on this. That's what we did. So this roof system right here, this is a 20-year material warranty TPO. It's a commercial grade TPO. That's what it is. So this is the exact same material you're going to find on an office building, a library, hospital, restaurant. Same exact material. If you were to go online and search commercial roof images, you will see like the vents, skylights, ACs. You'd see all these components of the roof. You'd see them all elevated up off the roof line, and they put them on curbs. And that's what these are. They're called curbs. That's what the little boxes are. Some people just call them boxes, but they're curbs. They're flashed back into the main roof. So what the flashing is this part down here. That's your flashing. So in this case, this is a TPO, which means thermoplastic. It's all heat welded right back in there. All the boots, heat welded. Everything is all heat welded. So there's no need to come up here with that Dicor or whatever it is, self-leveling stuff. You don't need to do that. This is done. So even all the caulking and everything we use is all commercial grade. Everything we use is all commercial grade. Even though I put roofs on RVs, I don't do RV roofing material at all. It's all trash. So all that said, the warranty on here, this is a 20-year material warranty. And what that means is the actual material is 20 years. Even when you go and buy another camper, a new one, and they'll say, hey, yeah, it's got a 10-year warranty on the roof or whatever it is. That just means the material. You'd have to prove the material failed. Then they'd say, all right, well, we'll give you some more material. That's basically all they're going to do is just give you some more material. But they don't know who's installing it. So they're not saying it's leak proof. They're just saying that the material itself, meaning the material, is not going to fail for a period of whatever, 10, and then in this case, 20 years. They don't know who's installing it, so they're not going to extend a labor warranty to it. So the way we do our warranties is, again, you get your 20-year material warranty. You come see us every year, and we keep renewing your warranty. So initially, we have an initial inspection, and then after the initial inspection, you come in annually. So I like to see it in 30 days. If someone can bring it back that soon, that is awesome. And it could even be sooner than that. I just want to see it travel. So, you know, really 60 days is probably the limit, but I want to see it travel, rack, twist, flex. I want to see it do all that. I could get another Jambore in here and it would rack, twist, flex differently than this one, just the way it is. So I want to make sure we addressed all the concerns on this particular coach. Once we get that done, then you come back every year thereafter. So now, this being 23, come back and you'll have your initial inspection. 23, you come back, that'll be good till 24, right? And then you come back in 24, we inspect it, that'll be good till 25. We keep redoing them every year. If you don't make it and you will fall out of warranty. Now, if you fall out of warranty, you can still come in and get an inspection and we can put you back in warranty. So the purpose of all of this is that if there's something we can catch prior to it being a problem or a major problem, I want to catch it. And some people just don't come back. They don't come back. And for what, you know, I didn't make the caulking. I didn't make the roofing. I didn't make any of this. And if it's not performing, I want to catch it before it becomes a problem, so I can either reach out to the manufacturer, or if I can reach out to whatever, or just simply, you know, get it squared away somehow without it being a major deal. And some people, they don't want to do that. They don't come back. And if they do, they go, hey, I got a leak here and there and so forth. Well, I mean, I could have caught that before, you know, it became an issue. So that's why we do it annually from year to year. But you keep coming in, we keep renewing it. So again, if you fall out of warranty, that doesn't mean that you can't go back under warranty. All you do is bring it in, let us look at it, and then we can make adjustments if need be, but then, you know, put you back under warranty. And then the same thing applies. You keep coming in every year. So the product itself, this is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO, like I said, all heat welded together. And on a commercial level, it starts off at 45 mil, and that's the thickness of it. So 45 is where it starts off, then it goes to 60 and 90 and 120, and you know, you can kind of work your way up like that. But the 60 is a 20-year. And what this is, this membrane, and here's a sample of it, and if you want a sample, just reach out to us. We'd be glad to get you one. There's our telephone number, and it's just rvroofinstall.com. But you can see these little whisks right here. This is a nylon mesh that's built into the actual membrane, and you can see the little squares in there, and that's what it is. It's a mesh. So that helps resist against hail and tree branches and things like that. Easy maintenance on these. All you have to do is just wash them with soap and water. You could bring it to a truck wash and say, hey, you know, wash this whole thing down. You can pressure wash this roof. That's not a problem. So, you know, obviously you're using a fan tip. You're not using one of those sharp pencil tips on those sprayers, you know, but you can wash them down, just suds it up. Easy peasy. And some basic dish soap will do the trick. So all that said, all this is all heat welded in here. Everything is all heat welded. So like I said, you don't have to deal with any of this caulking again, right? So I have a built-in counter flash on all of these. That's called a counter flash. So now as the water is coming across the roof in a real heavy storm, what the purpose of a curb is it minimizes erosion effect. This is the way all commercial roofs, low slope or flat roofs, function. They have to have flashing on them. Okay, they have to have flashing and counter flashing. So now you get that water just rushing across the roof. You get a torrential rainstorm, boom. It's going to come up here and it'll hit this counter flash and it'll get redirected around. That's the way the principle of the roof system. So it'll wash it right out. You don't have anything jumping up and over, it's pushing it away. Obviously you have some water coming down, you know, for sure, but it's not in the same principle as the gushing water, right? So on our air conditioner, we get that there, and that other piece up underneath the air conditioner, that's another piece of counter flash. So as the rain comes down up underneath the air conditioner is a foam gasket. So if I don't have that piece there, what happens is the water will come down and it'll start trickling back. There's a foam gasket in there. And even though the foam gasket does seal it, I just want to keep everything away from that gasket as much as I can. I don't want any dirt in there, really trying to minimize anything getting in there. So what that piece does is it goes over the counter flash right here on that unit. So it'll go down there and it'll push the water down below here and wash it out. So we also put some stands in the back. You can see them right there. There's one. I'll go around this way. Get another one over there, and it just gives it some balance. That's all it does. So if you have somebody, and this is a brand new unit, so I don't think that they're going to need it serviced, but on other ones, if they needed it serviced, that AC is going to mount the same way. I designed them so you can have a tech come up here and work on them and put them all back together. So we got all that squared away. Again, all heat welded here. Here's our skylight. You notice we have no screws in here. So the problem with these skylight lenses, they expand and contract quite a bit. People don't realize how much they expand and contract. So now it's sitting out in the sun, really hot, and all of a sudden you get a rainstorm, and that rainstorm will cause that thing to contract. And when it does, if you have screws in here, what it does, when it does, it'll pull on those screws. When it expands, it'll be pushing on those screws. So you end up with these little hair fractures that kind of run up and start cracking the lens. You start getting some leaks in there. It's a manufacturer's defect in a sense. Now I've tried in the past, I've tried drilling these out and getting a center punch, basically, or a center drill. So they're perfectly centered, get them in there. It just isn't worth the aggravation. So we just solely glue them down. These are all glued down. They can't come off. This thing is not going anywhere. So, and it's much cleaner. Don't have to worry about it. It'll expand and contract with the way the climate is, right? With the heat and the thunderstorms. The other issue that we tend to find with skylights, and a lot of people have some issues with some rot around the perimeter. So, especially in the fall or even in the spring, you may have some dew that'll be up on top of the lens. Well, when it's up on top here, it's also on the inside of this lens. So you've got this outer lens and you've got an inner lens. That's basically when you step in the shower and you look up, you're looking at an inner lens. You take that down, then you'll see the underside of this lens. So all that dew, all that moisture is, or the cold, if you will, is on the top. The sun comes up and it evaporates this off. But underneath this lens, on the inner side, it can't get evaporated out. So what it does is it condensates and it trickles down. And when it trickles down, it generally will run into the roof deck. It's chronic. It's just something that happens. So if it happens again tomorrow, and the weather is that way, then you'll have all these constant little drips and droplets. Then the roof system will, or the decking will start sucking up what it can, and you keep doing that chronically, then you start to get what's known as dry rot. So it's rotting, but essentially it's still dry. So to prevent this, what I did was I have that's an intake, and inside here is a trough that I put in there. There's a little trough, and there's a trough over here for this running up here for that solar fan. So now when the sun comes up, it's going to evaporate this off. Once that sun comes up, that fan kicks on. When the fan kicks on, it draws the air from here up over the lens and keeps that constant air circulating to keep it dry and keep that moisture out of there. So that's what it is. Now if this pops off, if it does, there's just a trough that goes in there. It's open. You need to take the plumbing right here and put that plumbing cap. We'll say it pops up because of a tree branch or something. If it does, get it covered. Put this cap on this plumbing on that. Don't worry about this, because this is all sealed. That'll go right down into your holding tank. You're not going to get, that much water in your holding tank. You're not going to get, I don't know what this thing holds, but 20 gallons or whatever it may be. You're not going to get 20 gallons of rain through that little hole there and fill up your holding tank. So, but you will get water coming down that pipe and it will leak in there. What I also did is, because that is a trough in there, I put a piece of foam. It's a perforated foam that I put in there to keep the bees out, because I don't want bees and wasps going in there and start making a nest, right? So we put that in there, to keep the bees out. So keep that in mind. Now, the warranty that we extend is basically, hey, we got for the roof systems and everything we did, but obviously I can't warranty the lens, I can't warranty the fan, just like I can't warranty the vents on these here, or obviously anything else on here. But so that's basically the way the system works. And like I said, I already told you we put new gutters on here. I put these spouts on here. And then typically I like to put a gutter on the back, but obviously you can see the way this one's designed, I can't do that. So we do put a tag up here. That just tells us when we installed it. And if he ever did go to sell this, so he can pass that warranty along to somebody else. We can do that. All these boots right here, they're all sealed with a portable sealer. These things wiggle quite a bit, as you can see. They wiggle quite a bit as you come up the ladder. So with the way these are sealed, there's no way that they can breach. So typically what they do is they'll have this piece right here. It's just a flat piece of metal. It's the same one that's at the base of this, and all they do is slobber it with that self-leveling. And when that fails, then typically you'll get some leaks and you tend to get some rot. And that's a pretty common area on a lot of coaches as well, the corners right in here. So this is going to prevent that. It's not going to happen. And then we got the AC, like I already explained. We got another plumbing over here. Then we got our refrigerator. All the same design, same technique. So the insert trim that we have, trying to go slower with this camera, but this is the insert trim we have. Let's see if I can find a piece. Now keep in mind, we don't sell anything. We don't sell anything at all. When I buy this, I have to buy 2 miles of it at a time. So that's quite a bit, but again, we don't sell any of it. We don't sell any curbs, we don't sell anything. Zero. We don't sell a thing. So all that said, we're also not a DIY channel. If you get some tips out of this, great, but we're not, these aren't tutorials at all. And there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes. I can't possibly videotape every single thing that we do, because it would just really, these videos would be very, very long. So let's get back to the insert trim, and you can see there's a groove in there, and it sits inside that track right there. See how it kind of comes over and bends down, and that sits in there. So it's up underneath it. Bring the camera back over. It's up underneath it, and it's on top of it. And I like the way it kind of shapes out this way, because then when the water comes down, it kind of has what's called a water adhesion principle, and it kind of rolls over and then gets right back into the gutter. So I'm trying to keep it out of that track. That's what I'm trying to do, keep the water out of that track. And because a lot of times with the other, they just snap inside there, and then the water can still get in there. And you got all this water buildup, you get pollen buildup, you get a lot of moisture in there. And you know, I don't want to have any of that in there. I do the best to keep all that out. So I deliberately didn't seal the end here, because if there does get any moisture in there, which it may happen, the way the moisture would get in is almost the same principle as I explained on the skylight. But if it did, then at least it can get out. I want it to escape out. I don't want to try to trap water. You might as well give it a place to go. If you try to trap it, you're just, you know, and say, hey, I'm going to seal it. Nothing. Don't do that. Nature's going to find its way. So up underneath here, though, all these screws are all sealed. They're all sealed. Got grommets. We glue all that back in. See how it's going to snap in? So it just sits in there, and then you can just kind of push it right back in. That's how easy that is. You may be able to find some of this on Amazon or something like that. I don't know. But like I said, I have to buy 2 miles of it at a time. I'm sure it's going to be real expensive if you buy it on Amazon or whoever, eBay or whoever all these other ones are. So then the other thing we did is went around the tops of this window. We look for some vulnerable areas, because if there's something there, I don't want a customer calling me up saying, hey, I got a roof leak, when it actually was a window. So we try to look for anything that's from our platform here that we're standing up, and then this way everything's all sealed, you know. And then we also replaced this light over here because it was all rusted out, and the lens was cracked. And when we tried to look at it to try to put a new lens on, the whole thing was all dry rotted, so we just replaced it. Went around the door, top of the door, like you said, in the window, and we already got all that done. So that's basically all we got going on our roof system. So I would recommend, if you don't have any of those covers, I'd recommend you put them on, especially if you have a crank up. If you have a crank up type style antenna, crank up style vent, because when the air goes over it, if it doesn't have that cover, then it just kind of shimmies it. And I've seen a lot of parked campers that have it open, because it just kind of vibrates open, I guess. A little bit of jostling. The more you keep bouncing it and the wind going over it, it will it'll just open up. Now you're getting water in there. So I highly recommend putting those on there. And also you can open it up in the rain, right? So that's a good idea. And again, I already explained we got another plumbing right there. So other than that, I think I covered everything. I want to thank the customer for bringing the coach to us. We appreciate the work. Came all the way down from Ohio, and that's a good travel. That's a good travel for someone to come, you know, to have a roof. I'm sure he must have passed a lot of different RV places before he selected us, and you know, we really take a lot of pride in that, and we're honored that he did choose us, and that's why we want to make sure we do an awesome job. You know, everything we can kind of look for and address, we want to get that done properly. Man, it would stink to say, hey, you know, I selected a company that's hundreds of miles away from me and I brought it to them, and the workmanship wasn't any better than my local dealer right around the corner. And, you know, we just don't do that type stuff. You know, I like to look myself in the mirror and know that I did the absolute best job I could to make sure, you know, they've got a roof that's going to last for many, many, many years. So, you know, and even like this one here that's sitting over there, that big Class A that's there, he came all the way up from Florida. We've got some that come down from Canada. They come out from Washington State, believe it or not, California. They come everywhere because we design the system. So if somebody's telling you they do this system, they do the same system. I've never trained one shop how to put these roofs down. And I wouldn't mind trying to do that, maybe get a program. So if you are a shop that's watching this, I wouldn't mind doing that. We'd have to go over some of the details on it, but if that's something that you think you may be interested in, you can reach out to us, and we're going to see if we can get other shops to learn how to install these and how to find common problems. One of the bigger things that I have is not so much teaching somebody how to do the roof, but how to do all the repairs. If you don't do the proper repairs, what good is it to put a good roof on it when the repairs are inferior and they fail? And if they fail, then the roof system is going to fail. So that's some of the concerns that I have. And some of these shops that I've seen, especially the ones on YouTube, these guys are working off of ladders. They're working off of, you know, a ladder like, you know, one end down there, one end where I'm at, and they put a 2x6 or 2x8 or whatever, and they're bouncing it along. It's not safe, and you don't do a good job that way. You really need to get some scaffolding. If you're a shop that claims you're a shop, you need to get some scaffolding like this. You need to set it up like all ours over here, even though the floor's dirty. We got all casters on all of these, so we can slide them in and out and move them all around. That's the way you have to do it. After a while, climbing up and down on a ladder, your legs are going to get tired, and then someone is going to maybe say, hey, did you get this or that? And you don't want to climb that ladder again, and a guy might go, you know what, yeah, I got it, I'm pretty sure. 'Cause it's near the end of the day, you don't want to hoof up on the ladder. But at least with this, and again, it's so much safer because you can work along things, you can line things up, you can work, you get your measurements, everything works out just like, if you've never done it, once you set one up, you're going to be like, man, I should have done this years ago. If this is something you're going to do for a living, if it's just a hobby for you, then, you know, that's a different story. But, you know, and I've got all the scaffolding for this bay here. I've got 3 bays, actually 4. I got that bay there, and I got another bay on the other side, and then I got that one out there that I'll show you where that Class A is. That's our inspection bay. So that one there is a little wider than these ones, but that one is great because the one way over there, that inspection bay, because when folks come in, then we pull the scaffold together, and a lot of people like to see, you know, their roof system or what's failed or whatever. So they can climb up there. I've got basically a set of stairs. It's really a ladder, but they're kind of sloped, so they're close to stairs. But anyhow, it's real comfortable to walk up. I've had even older women that have climbed up there and had no problem at all, and you know, they're interested in what we're finding up there as well. So but anyhow, getting back to, if you think you want to have us teach you how to do these, you know, reach out to us. The phone number, that should be a card at the end of the video, and we'll see what we can do and see how we can do it. We haven't kicked it off yet. These are some ideas that I'm bouncing around because I can't do this forever. That's number one. And number two, I mean, if I can get other shops set up in different areas, maybe out west a little bit, maybe up north a little bit, you know, somewhere even down south a little bit, whatever. If I can get you all set up to do it yourself, well, that would be pretty good. You could, then these folks would have to drive that far, right? So, all right, well, we appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Package. Right. So in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick pack. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet.
And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. So what you want to do, and it's raining out. Right now it's raining, you're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you're trying to do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. You squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Get some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. What you gonna talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, that's because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. There it is. Now you got the film. You take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That's simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl.
when the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.